What the hell is westernization? Now, in nature, what you do is you just live with whatever you have. Okay. So let's talk about what I know, right? What I know is three kinds of nature. I've seen like over just the media, I might have seen, you know, wildlife and, just understood how things are in the wild. And the other one is how people have been interacting with animals. Okay, that's the second one. The third one is how you use materials in order to bridge between nature and humanity. It's all three different things because it's different entities, right? Immovable materials and wild uh, creatures that do not really depend on materials, and there are human beings who create the immovable material world as well as um, you know occupy the space of the wild, which is taking away the space of nature where the other creatures live. It can be anything. It can be the ants, it can be the birds, it can be anything. So we are basically invading. So this being the core of the subject matter, when you are trying to be with animals, operative purposes, right? We use the word animals. So, what describes animal welfare and animal care? The only way that you can meet with nature is by giving up everything material. And if you are still having material stuff, the only way to accommodate nature is to take in other living beings into your material world, the immovable space I'm talking about, like buildings and homes and shelters that you create and occupy space on land and deny that much of resources for other creatures on land, basically. So you need to accommodate them. That's how pet culture came up. According to me, zoos were not a lab for cultivating genes or whatever it is. I have no idea what that is all about. But anyway, it doesn't mean I'm this brainless shit. I don't wish to know about science. I've always been that way because, I know the blunders and my whole family has suffered them. So, when you lose a lot, you will not really have an interest in a certain area. It just goes over your head. You can't even try. And the way you see it is from a different perspective. So, maybe natural sciences somewhere, but it would still be, not the kind that comes with knowledge of anything. So, knowledge is already innate, right? So, it has to be something that you already know and can live with. So, the way you see zookeeping, and it's just a sanctuary. So, where did all the confusions come from? It's the science of everything, you know, evidence based knowledge, and the way you fuck around with it and manipulate it and assume to grow with it. So that's all I know about science. I don't even know anything more. So do I have to know a lot of things to save lives? I don't believe in it. There are a million things to do, which is highly available in nature, and need not be evidence based at all. You don't have to know the pulse and the readings that you require in order to decide to do something. It's not symptomatic. Healing is not symptomatic. It's probably an indication for the mind to focus on healing a certain requirement, but it's definitely not the pulse in other things. Those are not the indications for anything. That's like too late, right? You haven't been attending to the right things. So you just can't, because you're waiting for um you're depending on too many things. You're treating the body like boo day. You're treating the body like it's a bunch of symptoms. No. Uh, so whatever. I don't even know what I'm saying. But the point is, you don't fight the way things have turned out. If you are manipulating things, you need to stop that and see it in a way that it already is in reality, just the surface of it, just the way it appears. You don't have to see. That's what is the problem. You think I am, digging deep. No, I'm not digging deep. I'm just, taking the meanings of things on the superficial level. That's all I need. I don't want to dive deep, and I don't want to understand and interpret and interfere. No. So, what we did, according to me, is we just wanted nature to be available to us to view. and they were possible in their natural habitat and in a secure way in zoos. Maybe the safari method is awesome. It's sort of bridging between zookeeping as well as wildlife, right? So you're just you are moving around instead of holding living beings. So coming to pet care is like zookeeping, but in a way that you are just going to take care of the entire, you know, lifespan of, your pet. And what are the ways to do that? Of course, it's almost like a zoo. So you need to do all the life requirements of that species. Do meaning you need to provide them the space where they can live as they wish to be. So it's just providing them the space under your roof. You can't leave them out because they're going to be really not able to find that kind of nature outside together, right? Because man has owned spaces. So maybe my space is convenient for my pets, but it is not, so outside. So you need to like really just allow them to be, and there are some species that are very interactive, so you can manage them even when you travel out, right? So you want to have them accompany you. So what is the connection between being westernized here? A veterinarian who is a dumb fuck calls me westernized because I have 20 dogs with me and all of them are generations of the same gene, right? So maybe they will die miserably. Their gene pool is, like eaten up, wearing out, whatever. So how is that different from nature? There are times when I take in other genes as well, depending on whatever the reason. I see some animal that wants to be with us, I'll take them in, and I try to nurture and care until they grow into their independent self. And of course, since we are taking food, we can't pretend to die, even those have become like material objects. We share. Of course, there is that need to be a minimalist and not really want anything for yourself because of this material bullshit that everyone's going through. But talking about reality, the volition of what you do matters. You're not like being greedy. I'm not like allowing any kind of mental trauma. So the even the hunting, the kill that's needed for the pets that I have, which is dogs, the indie dogs, their nature seems to be uh, in a way prepared to eat whatever I eat, whatever I feed. If I let them out, do they have their own food available to them? Will they be able to hunt them down? Will they survive? Will they really want to, you know, manage the, forces that kind of keep them away from their food, namely the human, uh, you know, condition itself? And there is yet another interpretation of how they don't get to live that long, so let them just, have their life as long as they can and they, pass on. So, why even pet them? So, is it better to call it something else and not pet? Like, like adopt a dog. So, I've adopted a dog, right? It's like a child in my house. So you get away with whatever you're doing. Is that like really convincing enough? Is that the argument? Giving a home to an orphan? Are you doing that? Really? You're taking away pups from mothering dogs and giving it away. I don't know who started the whole thing, but definitely if you go online, you will see plenty of people saying there are too many pups in this litter, we cannot handle it, we can't take them in, so please take the pups away. So why does, talking specifically about dogs or mammals or any species that really has this uh, cycle of parenting, why is it necessary to be around your your own offsprings? As far as I can understand, that would be like the purpose of life, right? It's not like man alone has societies to belong in, right? And the way man is, he can just slide, he kind of drift into societal groups and kind of step out and back and in and back and in. He doesn't really stick with the family or have territorial issues anymore. uh, is that true, really? சாப்பிட்டு முடிச்சிட்டியா? நீ குரங்கு. That's why you give me a kiss now. So, caring for other lives is something that man wants to learn as much as any other species, right? So, it's one thing to like be single and kind of think that you're gonna have to die single, die alone, whatever. But I don't know if that's how you feel. You can do that. But why make others feel like they're so wrong to want other species along with them as their own, as if they are their own? What's westernization? Is adoption system westernization, or is it allowing breeding in your own backyard? Westernization. Breeding can happen anywhere. Who the fuck decides what should be bred and what not? And why and all that? Why not? I have a lot of breeding going on, and not much of options. They just have to live with each other. Are you saying like like we do it? We just have to learn to cut off from our homes and get out there and find our own mates? Is that westernization, or is it, what am I saying? Or are you saying just because I am an inbred, what is that, inbred fag, whatever it is. 3, I told you I need that. 3, 3, mommy. No. வேணும் எனக்கு 3 வேண்டாம். தூசி ஆயிடும் மம்மி ப்ளீஸ். So well, if I want to punish myself for being inbred and for being born, this is perfect. I get to have the projection of a species, living in families. And since I cannot do it, I live alone and I live with them. Isn't it like all in the right place? I'm gonna talk in my language, right? So, if சரி நான் வந்து என்னோட மாமாவை கட்டிக்கிட்டேன். சரி ரொம்ப வெஸ்டர்னைஸ்னே வச்சுக்கலாம். நான் வந்து என்னோட என்ன சொல்றது, என்னோட அப்பாவே வந்து என்னை வந்து செஞ்சாரு. which is very unlikely in nature, because என்ன பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா, the male especially mates with plenty of women. By the time they get to see their young ones grow into heat. I'm talking about herds of 50 and 100 of the animals. They'll have so many, not just 20. And I don't understand the whole the gene pool thing. I don't understand it. I don't want to sit and read about it. I just don't understand it. Why and what, and I don't even know what's the right question right now. But what about gene pools? I don't understand. It will carry all the negatives in the gene. The newborns born in the same gene pool will struggle with autoimmune disorders in the bloodline and shit like that. I mean, can you see the joke of science? I mean, who the fuck thinks about all this? Unless you're so full of yourself. You're going to be dead. If you get out there. You just sit inside your house in your comforts and you don't even want to think about death at all. But every day or every minute is a life and death situation. What are you doing? Anyway, so from there you will decide whether you want to mate with your own gene pool or not, right? So what do these animals do? What would I do if I've been given that last chance to live and I find my own gene mates? Am I going to choose other mates? I'm not going to choose other mates because of the gene. Screw your fucking existence. It's not the gene, it's just the. Let's see. Is it going to be the gene? Maybe it's going to be once in a while possible. I don't know, but what if it's not? You need to I'm sure they have a way of figuring out whom to mate with, and definitely in a crowd of a herd, they will choose and pick whoever is attracted to each other. And you know what? I don't think they mate so much either. I'm sure they just want to be the head of their own groups and they stop mating. And then these people who get to talk to me tell me that I'm mind fucked. Yeah, guess why? You can guess it, right? Yeah, attraction. It's all about attraction. And then the issue is, probably the genetic details that are carried on in some way when you're attracting. So you're not attracted to someone and you just bug that person, you know. That's what happens in nature. If someone is not attracted to someone, they would just chase them away. If the other one keeps coming to you. But it has nothing to do with lust, that's the confusion. This guy, he talks about lust and attraction together. That's not the truth. Attraction is far more deeper than lust. Lust is in the process of sexuality and sexual attraction, and that's like after you really get together, right? But in the beginning, choosing someone is not out of lust. It's probably a genetic choice, astrally speaking. I don't know. Or a soul choice. It depends on which level of courtship you are in, right? You might be mature enough for that sort of courtship, so you will not really have the insight or the need to go any further. So you end up with the soul connection only when you're ready in life. So, do fathers and daughters mate? Why did the Oedipus complex involve only the mother and the son? I don't know. So, where's your ability to go and really get in that heat, to want someone, which I totally lack? I don't feel it. So, I might, that's probably why I don't have anything to say about lust, right? But, that's probably because I've been always, haunted by people who never had emotions for me. They were just fucking around. Whatever, was dumb enough to be available. That only happens with man. So, looking at it that way, I've never been attracted to anyone. So that makes me a whore. I don't know why. Am I rejecting too much of some part of life that's making me a whore? Very loud. Or have I been rejected in plenty that I'm putting this bunch of lives, the dogs that I have, in questionable relationships? Am I doing that to them? So why am I, questioning myself all this? Dumped by too many. That's the problem. I've been dumped and rejected too many times after being used. That's where the genes get screwed. As long as you're accepted completely and you go through a sexual process which is complete enough, the volition of the mind decides the gene, and the genes look fine, everything is fine. But when you are just used and just thrown away, that's when your gene pool is questionable. That's where science does not understand genes. How's that?